5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock West Coast. Um, I had company stop through last night. I just woke up. I've only been up about a half hour, first cup of coffee. And I know coffee's bad for me, but I'm already over it. I'm healing on the inside. You can't see. This is a summation video. The three questions. The first question, dating lesbians. Let's see. The first question was Illuminati ties. Yeah, it's true. When I was about 21, 22, I was recruited by a group of wealthy individuals to start learning the ways of the Force, if you will. Come to find out, it's the ways of the dark side. And why would I walk away from that? Well, you see how they act, and it wasn't very much different. I didn't make it to the inner circle. I was recruited. I was brought about with knowledge, and they were Reaganites, Republicans. They were Nixonites. They were the Beach Grove crowd. All of them wealthy, most of them very powerful, judges and groups. I just I saw the long haul of what was happening, and backed away because I realized, it crossed my mind, this could never happen. This could never happen. Why would America sit by and let this happen? So things sort of fell away after the second Reagan term, even though some parts of it were getting a little stronger, but not enough to quantify my attention. And these people would talk about their great power and the great future and the changing of America. And once you started getting closer to the inner circle, you started finding out how racist and divided they were, even amongst themselves. I was never racist. I grew up, like I said, my mom's best friend was black, and I grew up with her kids, around her kids, until I moved to Utah. And I moved to Utah with my family when I was 12. Now, I know racism from the Mormons, firsthand and secondhand. And I know double standards too. And if you want to talk about that, we'll talk about that. Question number two, or answer number two, was yeah, the last two couples that I dated were actually couples, and the reason being was because I enjoyed their companionship. The first couple was a complete accident. I uh, I met one of the girls, and she and I had talked a few times. She just needed a friend. She was going on. She had things going on in her life that she couldn't talk to her friend about, and some odd reason she found comfort in the words that I was saying. So we actually met one day, and 3 months later, I actually met her girlfriend. We all had a great relationship. Went on for about a year, and once one of them started doing meth, the other one was like a follower, and then they were both doing meth. Then I didn't hear from them for like a week, and then after I found out they were doing meth, I didn't want to talk to them or hang out with them at all. Not that meth is discriminatory, but meth gives you skewed judgment in a lot of things. And since then, both of them lost great jobs, and I hear from one of them every once in a while, and they've since broke up. But shortly after that, I actually began to actually pursue and actively pursue another relationship, trying to repeat that same formula. And it wasn't about sex. It wasn't about love either. It was about companionship, and yeah. So that's where that was. Now, number three, I was never born into a family of wealth or prosperity. Uh, there's this was this was a little white lie. I came from a medium income family at the time, which now would be considered a poor income. But there were seven kids, so there was never any money to go around, and that's how that went. Now, as far as suicide, my vlog about suicide, the one thing that I realized was if it's sad that these young people are killing themselves today, and there are so many of them. And just recently, that young man that overdosed on JTV. It's becoming an epidemic. This mass depression that we're suffering, and it isn't TV and it isn't your friends. It's the influences that are compromising us. And I'd like to say it's television, it's movies, it's opinion, it's formulated, but it's also the bullies. So here was my thought: if a young person kills themselves as a result of having been bullied, then it leaves the bullies free to bully again with a potential other victim in their path. So by the time their life's up, there could be three or four or five or six suicides. Well, when Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold slayed those people, how do we know that he didn't save the lives of other children and other adults who would have become victim to them later on in their lives? And at the numbers we're talking about, now the Virginia Tech, that was just sad. That young man had too many things on his mind, but he still insisted he was being bullied. So either way, the body count could potentially remain very much the same. And when I say that, I know I say that in a loose way that you really can't you really can't know what's going to happen. But what if down through time this does continue to happen? And what's more is you look at the bullies in the White House, and you look at the bullies across government, and you look at the bullies in the courtrooms, and you look at how this goes down. I mean, they grow up to become bigger bullies with more power because they're families of power and prestige. That little 13-year-old girl that killed herself over her MySpace account. The neighbor woman, a mother of two, went through all the trouble of creating a bogus MySpace account, creating her on her friends list, talking her into all kinds of crap, and then eventually this girl got so depressed she killed herself. And what if they just kept going around in circles trying to see how many people they could kill or get to persuade to kill themselves? So the long term drawn out effect is a lot more. Yesterday I didn't have an opportunity. A friend of mine came through and we got to hanging out, and then YouTube Live came through, and no, I didn't watch it, but I was sure nobody was going to be watching me either. They're all staring at YouTube Live like any of those people really watch my videos. But just the same, that wraps up the last couple of videos about Q&A, because it's I was horrified to see young people killing themselves again. It seems to become a nationwide epidemic suffering from mass depression, created by our government, created by our neighbors, created by what we used to think were our friends, and it's the division of America, and how we're going to save our country. So I think I'm going to suck back a second cup of coffee, and then we're going to move on to the news. Um, yeah, I was on the inside. I wasn't Illuminati per se. I was just really really close to the core of people who were really really close to the core of the issues. So that's about as close as I got to being Illuminati. I didn't want to be Illuminati. I would never join the Masons. I would never, let's say that the closest I got was probably Council on Foreign Relations, and that was through friends and connections in my job, and a lot of them, you see them now. A lot of them were alcoholics, and I stopped drinking when I was about 22. Once I really figured out my life and started getting my stuff together, and realizing that these people were just scum. They were just controlling, manipulative, uh, wholeheartedly scumballs, just waiting to feast on the sweat and the backs of others, and some of them actually were just terrorizers, even in their own life. So there's another bully. He didn't have Those people didn't have to be cyber bullies. They were money bullies. So let's get rid of the Federal Reserve and stop worshiping the almighty dollar, making the distinction in our life, and keeping God real to each of us, and however we go about doing it. But yeah, I'll be back in just a few minutes. I want to cap some news that's going on right now, and then we'll get on to some other issues. I'll see you later, America. Sorry, coffee's hitting me. I'll talk to you later.